The first reading comes from Exodus 16, 2-4 and 12-15. In this passage, we hear about the hunger of the people of Israel and their complaint. They say that they had more than enough food to eat while they were in Egypt in slavery. Now that they went into the desert, they didn't have enough to eat. So what does God do? He causes manna to fall upon the earth. Now the name manna comes from the expression mahu. And what does mahu mean? What is this? This is the first time the Israelites have seen this. And what exactly is manna? Well, it's not bread in itself. It's ground up to make bread. The author describes it like hoarfrost on the ground. It might have been like a coriander seed. We're not really sure. It obviously was starchy. It was able to be ground up and made into a type of bread. Some people have suggested that maybe it was secretion of insects or something like that. And it sounds gross, eating insect secretions or insect doo-doo for 40 years. It would explain why the people of Israel didn't eat it once they entered the Promised Land. But wouldn't that be a miracle if God could feed his people on that while they were in the desert? It might have also been something that had never been seen before. Whatever it was a gift of God for their nourishment. The second reading is from Ephesians 4:17 and 20-24. The author of this letter speaks about how the people have to conform their mind to Christ. They were pagans before, but now they have to give up pagan ways of looking at the world. They have to adopt the mind, the heart of Christ. And that's a constant reminder for all of us. The world so easily tempts us into thinking and acting like the world does. Judgmentalism, anger, violence, rejection, as opposed to the ways that are filled with Christ's love, which includes humility, gentleness, kindness. The Gospel is from John 6:24-35. Last week we heard about the miraculous multiplication of loaves and fish. Today we begin the discourse on the bread of life. Some people follow Jesus across the sea, and what does he accuse them of? Looking for signs. They just want miraculous deeds. They want free bread. They don't really want to look beyond the sign to the greater reality. The Gospel of John never uses the word miracle, because miracles are spectacular events that people crowd to see, but it doesn't necessarily change their hearts. The Gospel of John uses the word signs. Sign is something that points to a deeper reality, the fact that Jesus is our good shepherd who nourishes us. We see that especially today in the fact that he calls himself the bread of life, and we are to devour that which he offers. Now, in the beginning of the discourse on the bread of life, Jesus is not talking so much about the Eucharistic bread as the fact that he is wisdom incarnate. In the Old Testament, wisdom prepared a meal for those who were uninitiated. He presented them with bread and wine. Jesus is wisdom incarnate. That was one way of speaking about how Jesus could have existed before he was born in Bethlehem. Whatever we said about wisdom in the Old Testament, we were really saying about Jesus, just not knowing it. If these people devour what he is offering, they will come to know God. The people say, what works do we have to do? Jesus says there's only one work. Believe in the Son of God whom the Father has sent. That in the Gospel of John, there's really only one sin, not to believe in Jesus. Because the Gospel of John is all about relationship, not about following laws, but about falling in love with God. And we fall in love with God through Jesus. And may God bless us.